George Springer continues his MVP-calibre season as the Blue Jays vault themselves back into first place in the American League. Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Long Ball. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley. And Rob, crazy to think that this last 48 hours, Blue Jays fans, at least some of them, have been pulling out their hair, but here they are back atop first place in the American League standings after the Detroit Tigers faltered in Sacramento over the last couple of days. But a big part of this Blue Jays run right now, and pretty much all season long, we've talked about him so many times, it is George Springer, who just continues to rake despite coming back from that concussion, which is good to see as well. And it sort of started this conversation about his tenure as a Toronto Blue Jay. It started off weird, of course, when he was dealing with that injury right out of the gates after signing that mega deal. Did have some pretty strong offensive seasons, but was injury prone, and then the last couple of seasons was healthy, but was not producing. But here we are in his age 35 season. He has put it all together and has been maybe the best version of George Springer we've ever seen in the major leagues. How do you think this has changed his the narrative, if at all, around his tenure as a Blue Jay?
Yeah, first off, Rob, wild ride for Blue Jays fans for sure. And if they're reacting this way at the end of August, how are people going to cope in October? It's exciting times ahead, and it's what being a sports fan's all about, I guess. The last 48 hours, we certainly saw it. But with George Springer, yeah, I mean, the narrative has certainly changed over the last several months. And you know, you rewind it back to when he was signed. He was considered a massive signing. He was the highest paid Blue Jay at the time. He was brought in here for a lot of reasons. He was brought in here as the next step to join Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette to make this team a contender and to make this team a playoff team, a team that could have some success in the playoffs, because that's exactly what he had done in Houston. He was a World Series MVP. He was the engine, or one of the engines, of that Astros championship team that was so good and so clutch in the postseason. And it was expected that he would do the same thing here. And early on in his tenure, there were some flashes of that. And unfortunately, the injury bug hit a little bit over the last couple of seasons, as you mentioned, Rob. And certainly performance-wise last year, he was lost. And so many of us thought that perhaps his time was essentially done here, that he was never going to be the kind of guy that would lead a team to the postseason and to have some postseason success. And lo and behold, 2025 has been as good as, if not better than, any version of George Springer anybody's ever seen, even going back to those Houston days. And certainly the best that he's been as a Blue Jay. His 24 home runs are the most on the team by 3. His high as a Blue Jay is 25. He's going to soar through that. His batting average just the other night was 301, and that's by far the highest that it's ever been in his career. But on top of that, like you can just see the rejuvenation in George Springer. You can tell that he feels he's a part of something special here, and just so excited and so thrilled to be a leader in what's happening around this Blue Jays team. Every night it seems he does something big, whether it's a couple of home runs like he did a couple nights back, whether he scores a big run running in from third base as he did last night and celebrated and really got the Rogers Center fired up about that run and at a key point in the ball game. And now we're left to wonder what the upside is. Like, is he going to be able to continue this into the postseason? He certainly hasn't regressed in any noticeable fashion so far in this regular season. So, yeah, the rejuvenation of George Springer. You know, there's a lot of sort of MVP candidates on this team in a lot of ways because there's so many unsung heroes. But he's a guy who was expected to do this years ago. And the fact that he's doing it to the degree that he's doing it in 2025, in my mind, makes him the candidate for Blue Jays MVP for sure.
Yeah, it really is remarkable the season that he's had. And as you pointed out, he was brought here for postseason success, and that hasn't translated just yet. So maybe if he can have a few moments come October, that will vault him into a different stratosphere as far as how people look at his time as a Blue Jay. Another thing we've talked about a lot, and I think everybody's talking about right now, is the bullpen. It has not been a good month for this crew. A lot of walks, a lot of hit by pitches, a lot of runs given up, which was pretty surprising considering, I think, how people felt coming out of the trade deadline with the additions of Louis Varland and Seranthony Dominguez. But it feels on any given night, you're not sure what you're going to get from this bullpen right now. If you look at one specific player in this pen, who do you trust the most if you're John Schneider right now?
Well, as crazy as it sounds, Rob, it's Jeff Hoffman. And this is coming after what happened 2 nights ago when he gave up 2 home runs in the ninth inning to blow that lead in such spectacular fashion in what was really a gutting loss in the moment to the Minnesota Twins. And sure, he's been inconsistent at various times this season, but he still has closer stuff and he's still growing into the role. But more pertinent to your question is, like, he is the most reliable guy because there's nobody else that you could. I mean, you couldn't even bring somebody else in to be the closer right now from the arms that they have on this staff. And I've been saying this for weeks now. This is the real indictment potentially and the real Achilles of this team going forward, because when you look at playoff baseball over the past 4 or 5 years, it's basically starter through 5 and then strong arms transitioning from 6, 7, and 8 to the closer in the ninth, and like, who can you trust to pitch those key innings in key moments come postseason right now? And there is nobody. There's Brendan Little, but he throws too many balls in the dirt. There's Sir Anthony Dominguez, who walks too many guys, which is sort of contagious around that bullpen right now. There was Louis Varland, who was brought in from Minnesota because he had this great stuff, and he struggled. So there's just nobody that John Schneider can completely count on right now for those middle relief innings and key leverage innings, in fact, key setup guys. So, I mean, there's time to sort it out, but there's not really time to sort it out with new bodies. You're going to have to figure out a way to get the best out of these arms that you've got in there. Otherwise, it's, I mean, we talk so much about some of the success that Ross Atkins had at the trade deadline, and Shane Bieber is by all signs going to be a great acquisition. But we're left to wonder, did he do enough in the bullpen? And certainly what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks would suggest that he hasn't.
Yeah, at this stage, it's all about the internal improvement. There's no external help coming to help boost this bullpen. But you mentioned Shane Bieber. He'll get the start in the opener in what should be an incredible series against the best team in Major League Baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers, coming to town for the first of 3 on Friday night. Shane Bieber, Freddie Peralta, an incredible pitching matchup in game number 1. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Rob Longley, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one.